Welcome to the Friends of Jointwood Facebook group. The new look Friends of Jointwood Facebook group. First of all, we want to let you know that we have now completed the reconstruction, the reorganization process, and we're just giving you a preview of what we have in store. The executive summary, as you'll notice, will tell you just a little about what we have in mind. It's a community socio-economic lobby group. It's also a community meeting place on the internet. Primarily, that's what we are about. As we carry on, you will see for yourselves what we have lined up for you. What will be covered in this presentation. First, we're going to take a review of the first year in operation along the lines of administrative structure and the membership base. Then we're going to look at our terms of reference for the evaluation that was made along the line of objectives achieved, whether or not they were achieved, level of interest maintained, education and training, both for members of the group, staff that should be in place, as well as for community, the broader community members at home. We're also going to be looking at the type of products that were launched over the period. We'll also be looking at the introduction to the new and restructured FJF. We'll be taking that along the lines of governance and management structure, operational structure, and programs and projects. If we take a look at the membership data, we will see the trend of how things went over the period. A breakdown will show us that for the first quarter, and of course we need to take our reference from when we started, which would be April 2011. So we're going to be taking the first 3 months of that, April, May, June, and that had us at 50 registered members. For the second quarter, we had an additional 44 people coming on board. It was less than the 50 that came on at first. Then we went on to the third quarter when we had the boom of membership. We had 120 people coming on board. Then for the period leading up to now, we had 110 new members coming on, making a grand total up to now of 324 members, registered members in the group. Well, official members, I should say. And we're growing. Let's take a look at the objectives we had for 2011 and how well did we do on that. Well, as you know, objectives are what we set out to achieve, right? In the short term, the medium term, and the long term. Now, let's take a look at how we have things set out here. On your right of the screen, you notice we have a little page marked status with arrows pointing to that. Just match that to what is on the left, the items on the left, and you'll get the full picture of what we're talking about. We had set out to create and maintain a vibrant cyber community, which would include the scheduled group meetings that we actually started, as the status would show. But presently that is in limbo, and that is one of the reasons we had to do some restructuring and reorganizing to see how well we could grab on to that situation. Next, we look at the development, or we had set out to develop an admin and directing body for the group. That was named all right, but unfortunately did not function effectively as we would have wanted. We also looked at an area known as the ancestral tree. It was prepared, but was never launched. We never got a chance to launch that, primarily because of the administrative problems. We also made preparations for a grand real life community reunion. Would have been an inaugural first reunion there, right? But that never materialized fully. So what we had instead was a mini reunion in preparation for that grand event. That was held December 25th, 2011. A look at our education and training situation, what we had planned. Staff training in the field, in the areas of knowledge base, that is teaching people exactly what the group was going to be about and all of that. IT upgrading for those who needed it, and a little bit to do with human relations, since we're a group and we're going to be interacting with each other. But that never got started. We also had planned group training for the general membership, which would be group dynamics, how to function in a group and all of that. Personal developmental courses, but none of those got started. We also had planned for the general home community. We would be giving like vocational skills development. Students would have got homework assistance and all of that. That never got started. So that means for the new term, for the new year, we are going to have to take some serious steps in having all of these implemented. Let's take another look. Next page. Proposed new products. Those are the things that we had planned to do in addition to those I just looked at a while ago. Interestingly enough, these products were actually launched. We had our group website that was on the page, and that was launched at http:/friendsofjointwood.spruce.com. And that's functional, very functional at the moment, but disappointingly not very well supported by the membership. Now we'll have to do some PR on that one. Our online TV channel, known as FJF TV, was launched and is fully functional and is doing its job. And it's being looked at, it's being viewed satisfactorily. Okay. Our group e-learning facility. Now the facility was launched and is fully functional, but is still to be utilized in the way that it was supposed to. It is now being used as a conference section. We are hoping to use that area for our meetings. That's for the new leg of the group. We'll be using that area for our meetings. But technically it was supposed to be used for training. But then why it hasn't been done? If we look at the bottom of this page, you'll notice that we have a resources nerve center that was supposed to have been established. Now that is yet to be assembled. Why? We are now in the process of identifying those amongst us who would have had the necessary skills and can create that sort of nerve base that we're looking for. Next second. Now here's where the heart of this presentation is the introduction to the restructured FJF. Now, as you would have remembered, that FJF stood for Friends of Jointwood Foundation. That's the parent group, the original group. From it came the Facebook social group. All right. Now, the group known as FJF is still there. That's the mother group. But the name has changed. The initials will remain FJF, but the meaning of FJF has changed, because it's now referring to the Facebook social group. So it's now known as Friends of Jointwood Facebook group. That's what FJF is now for. It's Friends of Jointwood Facebook group. Now, the second item of change is the group structure. Now, it used to be just one large body of members, all required to respond to and abide by the same desires and rules, respectively, as a group. Now, there are two sections instead. We have the open group, which is the one that you are now on, which is just for socializing and having fun, meeting and greeting old friends, etc., making our jokes, whatever. Then there, and that's the group that is known as the FJF group now, the Friends of Jointwood Facebook group. Now, we also have the second leg, the second arm, which is the administrative arm and the service arm. Now, originally, that would have been the Friends of Jointwood Foundation. That's the part. Now, that has changed drastically. It's now known as Friends United for Social Empowerment. Acronym FUSE. When it is officially written, it will be written as FUSE Northwest St. Elizabeth. Now, that is to distinguish it from any other organization that might be using the same acronym. Okay, now a lot more will be explained later on that one. For those of us who have the patience to read, the next page coming up will have a more detailed view of this new restructuring. But from time to time, we'll be giving you bits and pieces on that, and the entire text will be available for download in a PDF format. Here's the structure of the new service arm, as we call it. You'll be having a governance area, and in which case you'll have an oversight committee. Then you have a management structure, which would include a president or manager and some assistants there, a secretary, a main person, an accountant responsible for the financial affairs, and then you have the admins who will be taking on a totally different role from the original admins we had in the first case. These people will now be just admins, will be heads of different sections of the business, the departments as we call that. For operational structure, that will be sent out to you because that's kind of long. It wouldn't be able to hold it here. But it's primarily to say, to tell us about how we plan to operate this arm. I can tell you basically it's going to be a welfare arm, so that should tell you something about the operational structure. Programs and projects, same thing. It will be projects, these projects and these programs will be social projects, social programs to uplift the community and create further development and to, well, ultimately reduce poverty as we know it. The next page is the more detailed fine print of the situation. So those of you who wish to read, you may now do so. Thank you very much for your cooperation and your attention. I'm yours truly, L. Andy Anderson.